Hi guys, Johnny here. I guess you guys wanted to get more serious about your meditation and you wanted to get into it more deeply. Now, for myself, there were 5 key reasons and problems, if you like, that would come up to me when I started to meditate. And they're mostly to do with the mind. Our mind is a wonderful tool. It can help us in many ways, but we need to train our minds because we don't want our minds to run us. We don't want our thoughts to give us the agenda. We want our minds to work for us like a tool, like a fantastic computer, which they are. So when you sit down to meditate, if you think about these 5 key things, they may make sense to you as well, in the same way that they make sense to me as being the 5 things that kind of work against you when you're trying to meditate. So the first 2 things sort of go together. So being tired, that is kind of the first one that comes to me. If we're too tired, we're going to sit down and try and meditate. What's going to happen? We're going to fall asleep, basically, because we're going to relax ourselves. We're going to get in the correct posture to meditate. So we're going to keep our spine straight. But in spite of that, if we are too tired, when we start to slow down our breathing, slow down our faculties and our mental processes, then naturally a sleep state could be induced in that. So we don't want that to happen. So how can we avoid being too tired? Well, we can find the right time of day to meditate. For me, I personally like to meditate in the morning, sort of fairly first thing, but not straight away as soon as I get up. Because if I go to meditate as soon as I wake up in the morning, then I'm pretty close to that sleep state anyway, so I'm probably going to doze off. So I like to get up, have a cup of tea, maybe have some breakfast, and at a suitable time in the morning, to fit in with my schedule, I will come and meditate. And that is a good time for me. Doesn't work for everyone. I'm more of a morning person, if you like. For other people, they may find that in the middle of the day is a better time to meditate, or on an evening is a better time to meditate. But basically, you need to find the right time that works for you best. Okay? The other thing, of course, is if you're not getting enough sleep, then you're going to be tired. So it's important to get enough sleep. And I think the recommended amount of sleep really is somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. For me, 7 hours is about perfect at my age now. When I was younger, probably 6 hours was enough, 6.5. I'm finding that 7 hours is great for me. I'm relaxed, I'm re-energized, and I'm ready for the day then. So the next thing, after being too tired, the thing that goes sort of hand in hand with that almost, or the opposite side of the coin, is being too wired. What do I mean by too wired? Well, our minds are too overactive, we're too hyper, we're too energized, if you like. And when we get in that state, obviously the meditative state is not going to be conducive. It's not going to come along naturally. We're going to have thoughts bombarding us. We're going to feel anxious. We're going to feel stressed, etc., etc. It can be done by something like as simple as having too much caffeine. Well, maybe if that's something that affects you, and when you meditate, maybe you need to lay off that. Stick to some decaf maybe, or maybe just some water just before you meditate, so that you're not being hyped up by the caffeine. But a really, really common thing is our phones, to be honest, because our phones will make us their slaves, won't they? Our phones are fantastic. I'm not decrying our phones. It's a computer in our pocket. It's not just something that we, have a conversation with somebody down the other end. It's a little mini computer which basically gives us all of this fantastic information. You know, it's straight at our fingertips. Whatever we need to know, it's there. It's great. It's brilliant. You know, YouTube's fantastic, but if you are spending too much time on your screens, on your phones, social media, the big one, you know, texting, WhatsApping, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, all of these things, they are raising our wired state, if you like. They're getting us in that state whereby it's not conducive to meditating. It's making us agitated. It's stressing us. So maybe give the phone a rest. Obviously, when you go to meditate, might go without saying, but you know, maybe you haven't thought about it. Put your phone on silent. Give yourself a break. There's nothing that's that important that you can't stop for just the period of time that you're meditating, whether that's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, however long. You need to be able to give yourself a break from that. And by giving yourself a break from that, that will bring the stress levels down. We won't need to worry too much. You know, you can say, well, I'll just ignore it, but how many of us, when the phone pings, when a message comes through, can we just not have that thought, oh, I wonder if that's somebody, you know, I wonder if that's something important, or, oh, you know, I wonder what that could be. It's that thought just pops into our minds. It's all making us wired all the time. It might not be your phone, it could be the television, you could be watching too much TV, you could be having too much conversations with people even, you know, maybe you need to have a quiet time before coming into meditation. It's about the preparation time sometimes. So don't be too tired, don't be too wired. I used to be a librarian for 15 years, and I use the analogy of sections in the library that we don't want to get bogged down in, basically. One section we don't want to get bogged down in is the history section. What am I talking about? Well, what pops into our minds when we are meditating? What's likely to come up? Well, we need to learn, all of us, in order to develop a good meditation practice, we need to learn mindfulness. What mindfulness is about is it's about engaging with the now, the present moment, being here, being now, enjoying and appreciating where we are. Because it's always now. It's never not now. Now is the time. You're watching this video now. I'm recording this video now. Time doesn't come into it because it's now. So don't go into the history section, because the history section is where all of your past lives. But the past isn't here anymore. The past is gone. It's past. That's why it's called past, because it's past. It's gone. It's over. It's finished with. Okay? It's easy to say that, but thoughts of things that happened in the past, situations, all of these things will pop into our heads when we sit down to meditate. I can guarantee you, when you sit down, you're going to think of things that you haven't thought of for years, possibly. You know, it could be something that happened to you a couple of hours ago. It could be something that happened to you last week. It could be something that happened to you 20 years ago. But I can guarantee that things will come up in your mind when you sit down to meditate. Now, in some ways, it's inevitable that that's going to happen. Okay? I've talked in the past about how when we get a thought in our minds, when we've got, I should say, intrusive thoughts, things that are bothering us, things that are likely to come up before we sit down to meditate, okay? We take, as it were, those thoughts and we pop them on the shelf. They'll stay there until we pick them back up off the shelf again. But we put them on the shelf and we keep them there, okay? We can have control over that. It seems like we can't. It seems like, oh, I've had this thought, I must think about it, but we don't have to engage with those thoughts. Now, when we're talking about things from the past, from our history, we've all got baggage from the past. We've all got history. We've all got things that we don't necessarily think about particularly a lot. That might be painful things. There could be good memories, who knows? But during meditation is not the time to be thinking about those things. I'll add a caveat to this. Meditation will bring up to the surface the crap from the past. There will be stuff that happened to you that basically is still in your subconscious, things that maybe you are dealing with, need to deal with possibly, and you're not going to want to think about it necessarily during meditation, but inevitably the longer you pursue the practice, the longer you continually meditate over a period of months, years, whatever, there's going to be times when those thoughts are going to come into your mind. Now, I don't want you to get stressed about it. What I want you to think of it is it's like this. It's like the poison, if you like. You get an insect bite. This time of year, it's summer. I've just been out for a walk. I could felt on my leg. Oh, that was something, that was a fly, that was something bit me. And what will happen is the poison will come up to the surface. It's the same with our past memories. Things will rise to the surface. It's part of a healing process. And in order for us to become the best versions of ourselves, we will need to go through a healing process. So, as I always say, be compassionate with your mind, be compassionate with the thoughts. Don't just dismiss them. Just don't disrespect those thoughts. They will come up. Be generous with them, be kind to them, and just say, okay, I'll deal with that at another time, remind me later. Okay, so we're moving through it, but like with all thoughts that come up in meditation, like a cloud in the sky, just let it come, pass by, and go away like that. Just let it go. Okay, history section of the library. The other section of the library is the science fiction section of the library. And you're saying to me, Johnny, what the hell are you talking about, science fiction? What has that got to do with meditation? Okay. Science fiction tries to give us a picture of what life could be like in the future. You know, are we going to be served by robots? Are we going to be living on the moon? Are we going to be terraforming Mars? Are we going to all have, microchips implanted into our brain? Whatever crazy notions there are. Believe me, since I was a kid, there's been programs about predicting what the future is going to be like. Okay, when I was a kid, there was a program on the BBC called Tomorrow's World, and yeah, okay, they looked at some new developments and stuff like that, but honestly, some of the crazy stuff that science fiction comes up with, it's not always science fact. Science fact is like, it's been proved, it's happened. So how does that relate? What am I talking about? How does that relate to our meditation? Basically, we look at, when we sit down to meditate, we've got pain and suffering come to us in our lives from two directions. They either come from the past or they come from the future. The past is what we beat ourselves up over. I did this wrong, I shouldn't have done that, oh dear, oh, did that really happen to me? Oh, I've got this pain from my past, whatever. It's all pain, it's all suffering. You're not in the past anymore. It's gone, okay? No disrespect, because we all do it. We all do it. It's about learning to live in the present, okay? The future It's what we worry about, we stress about. We stress about what's going to happen tomorrow, what might happen next year, what's going to happen to me in a few years' time when this doesn't happen anymore, or that, or whatever. We stress about ridiculous things a lot of the time. And guess what? We can't actually see the future. No, I'm not knocking anybody that's got any clairvoyance gifts or, is able to get glimpses into the future. But the way I see it is, it's like this. People that do get sort of glimpses of intuition, of clairvoyance, whatever, it's almost like you're looking through a fence. You're looking through a knothole in a fence. You're getting a little glimpse of something the other side. That's all you get. Nobody really can see the big picture of what the future is going to be like. If you could, oh my goodness, you'd be considered as some kind of wonderful, seer and prophet or something. If you could know exactly what's going to happen in the world, next year, next week, tomorrow. You can't do it. We don't know. So why do we stress ourselves so much over what's going to happen in the future? Why are we stressed about, I don't know what I'm going to do, this could happen, that could happen, whatever. Treat it like it's science fiction, okay? It could happen. Excuse me. It could happen. We could all have homes on the moon, in 50 years' time. Who knows? We could all have robot servants, maybe in a few years' time. Yeah, that's quite likely it could happen. But it might not happen. We might decide, no, we don't want to do that. We'd rather, do something else instead. We don't know. We don't know. I'm not a prophet. I'm not pretending to be a prophet. I have intuition about things at times, and sometimes it's right, and it quite astounds me because it's not the natural default setting for us. We normally go by our five senses. So don't live in the past, don't live in the future. Now is enough. Be present. Stay where you are as much as you can. Okay? That's the first thing that we need to do before we go into meditation. We need to be present. We need to be here. Okay. The last thing that I want to cover is what I call wishing. Okay, wishing. What do I mean by wishing? Well, we're on a journey, if you like. We are, with meditation, it's a practice that we want to practice, we want to develop, we want to discover new layers of it. And it's a bit like peeling an onion. You've got layer after layer with meditation. There's a lot to it. And people will talk about possibly experiences that they have during meditation. There are so many of them. I'm not going to go into all of them. People see colours. People have sensations in their body, sensations of spinning sometimes, prickling of the flesh, chills. Some people get an overwhelming sense of peace or love that they feel within themselves. All of these are fantastic. But don't spend your time meditating, wishing that one of these experiences, one of these things would happen to you. And also, as we meditate, it is a journey. It's almost like we're climbing a mountain, really. Now, once you start to meditate regularly and you develop that daily practice, don't be mistaken, you are on the mountain, you are. And yeah, there's a mountain peak that you're heading towards, You will progress in the meditative practice if you keep it up, if you keep doing it. But it's a progression of like this. It's one step in front of the other. It's not rocket pack straight to the summit. It's not like that. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to sit down and meditate and hey presto, I've got super human abilities all of a sudden. I now am fully aware, I'm fully enlightened, I see the world, consciousness, my consciousness has expanded. You know, I'm able to see God, I'm able to see wonderful spiritual things. All of these things are possible and they can happen, and these are things that can be developed in us, as well as that sense of peace, as well as that sense of being able to focus better, being able to see the bigger picture better in our lives, being able to just not be triggered by the things that trigger us in life, because we're developing, we're training our mind, we're training our consciousness, we're becoming more aware. But it's a slow, usually it's a slow and gradual process. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to say, you know, I can fast track you there. It's not about that. Meditation is a lifestyle. It's something that if we commit to and pursue in our lives, it will change us. I guarantee if you commit yourself to meditation, it will change you. But I'm not going to guarantee you any fast track way of getting there. And it's different for different people. It's not the same for everybody. Some people may take to it more quickly, might get sort of these kind of results in their lives quicker. Other people, it might seem a bit of a slow and plodding path, but it doesn't really matter. As many people often say, there's no bad meditation. All meditation is good. So let me encourage you to continue to meditate every day. And just remember those 5 things which will try to trip you up, that your mind will use to trip you up. We want to train our minds to be our friends, our tools that we can use, a supercomputer that they are, but we don't want our minds to run our lives any more than we want our phones to run our lives. We want to take back the control of our own lives. Okay? Don't get too tired. Don't try and meditate when you're too tired. Don't try and meditate when you're too wired. Don't spend your time in the history section dwelling on the past. And by the past, I could mean an hour ago. It's gone. Let it go. Don't get stuck in the science fiction section. You can't change what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't predict it. Even the Met Office don't know what the weather's going to do in 2 days' time. They have a guess. An educated guess, yeah, okay. But really, they don't really know. You can't really predict it. It could be completely different. If you live in the UK, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And don't spend your time, meditation time, preparation for meditation time, wishing. Don't keep wishing for something to happen. Go with it. Have an intention that you will grow, that you will learn, that you will expand, but don't have an expectation of any one thing happening at any one time or in any one time period. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed this and it makes sense to you, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to drop any comments to me, I will get back to you and I will answer any questions that I can if possible. If you like the video, like it. But other than that, thank you very much, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you, and namaskar.